Make that big boss less special. It ain't no game, but they saying welcome to the second level. Second level. Second level gaming. Second level.
Hello, Internet, and welcome back, or welcome to the official Level 2 podcast, episode 54. My name's Keegan, one half of Level 2 Gamers, hanging out with Tom, the other half. How you doing today, Tom?
I'm good. I wonder...
what's in a Wonder Ball?
I wonder in my brain sometimes if when you say... Because you use the same intro for indie and this. Are you ever, like, about to say indie?
I almost did say indie there.
Yep.
I almost did say indie there. I was like, wait, wrong one.
Even in my head, I'm going, like, indie, please, and then you go, Level 2. Oh, yeah,
the
we're doing
official
that
Level 2
one
podcast.
Today. Yeah.
This will be a fun one. We've got... to give you a little rundown. We're going to start out with the new YouTube policy and kind of, I have strong opinions on it. I don't know your opinions on it yet. We have, I guess, great moments in gaming, but you'll see what that is in the middle. I don't want to give away what it is.
Moments in gaming history.
And then you're going to talk about your 5 albums that
changed my life.
Changed your life. I'm hoping Korn's in there somewhere because I know Korn.
It is. Not
the food, but the band. But let's get started because we're about a week late on this because it broke after we recorded. And YouTube Partnership Program has had some changes. On January 16th, 2018, we announced new eligibility requirements for the YouTube Partnership Program. Once the channel reaches 4,000 watch hours in previous 12 months and 1,000 subscribers, it will be reviewed to join the program. Get more details of the creator blog, which is where I'm going to go to read what they read. I do want to preface this by saying we are not affected by this. Thanks to you guys. We had 5,000 watch hours last year, and we are over 1,000 subscribers. We're at 1,200 and something at this point. But it was funny because like this made me look at our stats because I knew we had the subscriber count because it's pretty easy to find. The watch time, I was like, what are we at? And we were well over 5,000, which was A, crazy, and B, cool.
I'm going to go ahead and take credit for that.
Okay.
Short video, man. You guys remember when we used to fight about whether doing short videos or long videos? Anyway,
I mean, short videos still work. People still watch.
You gotta do more of them.
Still watch. But this is the additional changes to the YouTube Partnership Program as posted on the YouTube Creators blog on January 16th, 2018. To give you an idea, we are recording this 23rd, so this was literally after we recorded. 2017 marked a tough year for many of you, with several issues affecting our community and revenue earned from advertising through the YouTube Partnership Program, otherwise known as YPP. Despite those issues, more creators than ever are earning a living on YouTube, with the number of channels making over 6 figures, up over 40% year over year. In 2018, a major focus for everyone at YouTube is protecting our creator ecosystem, ensuring your revenue is more stable. As Susan, who I believe is the CEO of YouTube, mentioned in December, we are making changes to address the issues that affect our community in 2017 so we can prevent bad actors, and I don't know how I feel about that phrase, from harming the
it's a weird phrase, isn't
inspiring
it?
and original creators around the world who make their living on YouTube. Yes. Yeah. A big part of that effort will be strengthening our requirements for monetization so spammers, impersonators, and other bad actors can't hurt our ecosystem to take advantage of you while continuing to reward those who make the platform great. Back in April 2017, we set a YPP eligibility requirement of 10,000 lifetime views. While that threshold provided more information to determine whether a channel followed our community guidelines and policies, it's been clear over the last few months that we need a higher standard. Starting today, we're changing the eligibility requirement for monetization to 4,000 hours of watch time within the past 12 months and 1,000 subscribers. We've arrived at these new thresholds through analysis and conversations with creators like you. They will allow us to significantly improve our ability to identify creators who contribute positively to the community and help drive more ad revenue to them and away from bad actors and in turn more to YouTube, which is what they want to do. These higher standards will also help us prevent potentially inappropriate videos from monetizing, which can hurt revenue for everyone. On January 20th, 2018, we'll be implementing this threshold across existing channels on the platform to allow for a 30-day grace period. On that date, channels with fewer than 1,000 subscribers or 4,000 watch hours will no longer be able to earn money on YouTube. They've already sent the emails out to people who don't meet this so far. When they reach 1,000 subscribers and 4,000 watch hours, they will be automatically reevaluated under the strict criteria to ensure that they comply with our policies. New channels will need to apply with their application being evaluated when they hit these milestones. Though these changes will affect a significant number of channels, 99% of those were making less than $100 per year in the last year, and 90% earning less than $2.50 last month. Any of the channels who no longer meet this threshold will be paid what they've earned based on our AdSense policies. After thoughtful consideration, we believe the necessary compromises to protect our community. Of course, size alone does not determine whether a channel is suitable for monetization. We'll continue to use signals like community strikes, spam, and other abuse flags to ensure we are protecting our creators from bad actors as we continue to protect our platform from abuse. We want to remind you all to follow YouTube's community guidelines, monetization basics and policies, terms of service, and Google's AdSense policies, as violating these will lead to removal from YouTube partnership program. I'm not going to read the rest of that, but basically they've changed. The gist of that is they've changed from 10,000 lifetime views to 1,000 subscribers and 4,000 watch hours. As I said, for us, we have met that criteria. We are not affected by this any way, shape, or form, and that's because of you guys, because of some of the work we put in. Like, it's awesome. That being said, I have a lot of friends and I'm in a lot of communities that are up in arms. And I showed you before we went live, I showed you Tech Review USA's point on it. And I have a very similar viewpoint as to him, and it's not necessarily the popular view. So I have a feeling I might get some shit for saying this. But if you are on YouTube to make money, you're not going to do it. If you're under 1,000, under 4,000, even the size we are, we hit 5,000 watch hours. We have 1,200 subscribers. You know how much money we made last year? I'll tell you here in a second. I'll pull it up and tell you exactly how much we made last year.
I have no idea how much.
I don't either. I know lifetime, I think we made like 120 last year. And again, it's not about the money. Where's revenue? That one. So for the last 365 days, we made $123.12 from ad revenue. The crazy thing, and we're not allowed to post this on a screenshot or anything, but the crazy thing is you can see where Adpocalypse happened because we were making quite a bit initially and then it went and stopped. So selfishly, what this means for us is we will hopefully get more ad revenue generated back in after Adpocalypse. What has happened with Adpocalypse, with Logan Paul going on, with PewDiePie, with all these other controversies that's been on YouTube last year, and it's been a big deal, is there's not enough ads to go around to people. And you would rather have your ads, as YouTube said in here, on people who are affecting the community positively. You don't want it on somebody who is making some racist remark or something that is offensive to people or something that is not what YouTube stands for. There are some creators and some friends, and I've reached out to a lot of people privately about this, that are affected by it, that I think it sucks for them. So I'm going to mention a couple people that I've reached out to. One of them is Tesla Chad. He is a guy if you haven't watched this, he's from St. Louis. We actually met him in real life. He found us where we work, and which was really cool.
And weird.
Yes. He makes really cool, he makes top 10 videos, but he makes like those discussion type videos about video games. I don't know what to really categorize them at. But go check him out. I want to say it's youtube.com/C/Tesla Chad. But he is under the 1,000 subscriber count. He's like 700 and something at this point. But his content is good. And I told him to keep going. He's got the kind of production quality. He's got the uniqueness. He's got what he doesn't make the videos. And he made a video on this, and I'd recommend you watch it, but he talks about why he did the channel. He's upset because he was making money, and as a small creator, any amount of money helps. Like I said, we made $120 last year from YouTube, or that's estimated revenue. Final revenue is always slightly different.
I'd love to put that against how much I spent on video games.
Yes, exactly. But that's what I was gonna say. It helps with us buying video games, going to cons, doing all these different things. Like it helps with that kind of stuff and getting better equipment. Like there is a lot of expense that goes into this kind of thing, and I understand getting any little bit does help. We're excited when we get paid. Like I remember getting our first one. Like, oh, we hit it. We're done.
Finally got a paycheck.
Yeah. But it's not about the money. And like I said, Tesla Chad, go check him out. I can't praise him enough, but he is one that I personally know that has been affected, and I think he will push through the barrier because he doesn't do YouTube for the money. He does it because he loves it. And we had a conversation because I was going to have a totally different topic. I was going to talk about Overwatch League, and Tom's like, no, talk about this. I was like, okay. So
isn't he more exciting when he's angry?
Yeah. Or passionate. We'll go with passionate.
Okay.
So I'm going to be real brash to people right now.
Go for it.
And if you...
By the way, before Keegan gets really brash, these were Keegan's opinions.
Yes, these are my opinions.
I have my own opinions.
Yes.
Don't cuss me out.
Cuss
what
me
he's
out.
about to say. Carry on.
Cool. If you, in my opinion, are going to quit YouTube because of this change, you were not invested in YouTube. You were not invested in, as a content creator. You were in it to make a quick buck. You were in it to get famous, to do all these things. You were not in it because you love what you're doing. And there's moments where every channel goes through, this sucks. There's highs, there's lows, there's things that happen, there's great things, there's bad things. It's the way it is. But at the end of the day, if you don't like what you're doing, there's no point in doing it. And we literally just had a conversation of like, our goal with this channel, and we've said it from the get-go, would be to make this our job. Do we go in and be like, we have to make $10 on this video to make sure we hit our goal? No. Do we go in and say, hey, we need to pick this topic because it's trending right now to hit our goal? No. The way we look at it right now, and again, if you disagree with me, go ahead and chime in. But the way I look at it right now is we are building a platform for the future. We're building, I just hit the mic, we're building a base of people that have common interests in things we want to do. And we like talking about VR. We like talking about indies. We like talking about ourselves, I guess. Like, that's the truth. And if YouTube had come to us and we were part of the people that had that monetization taken away, nothing would have changed. Honestly, nothing would have changed. And I can say that 100%. We love what we do. We enjoy 90% of the YouTube. There's a lot of work that was done behind the scenes, and that's why I think a lot of people are upset, is people think YouTube is easy. And we've been doing this literally almost 3 years. It'll be 3 years and 2 weeks. And like, it's not. We have just over 1,200 subscribers. We have total almost 150,000 views. We have, I don't know what watch time is total. I'm going to guess it's probably 7,000 to 8,000 hours watched in 3 years. And it has been a slow burn. And
Still slow burn.
Yeah. And I've come out and said my expectations, because I've done YouTube many a times before. I was very successful as a creator back in the day. Back in the day, the way the content or the partnership program worked, YouTube would send you an email when they found you. You didn't apply. They would find you and said, hey, this is a thing. We like your channel. And the weird thing was there was no requirements. They didn't tell you how they found you. I, at the time, had just over, I think I'd just reached like 6,000 or 7,000 when they reached out to me. There's people I know that had hundreds of thousands that couldn't get in. And I don't know what their criteria was. They never published it. They just kind of pick and choose. And it was an exclusive club to be inside of. But that's the way it should be. And I feel like the standard has dropped now that everybody can make money. And I feel like the way YouTube is perceived has changed, and it sucks because back in the day, you could be a animator and make money. You could, which, to be fair, animators are getting fucked right now with this 4,000 watch hours, because for us to make a 3-hour-long podcast a week versus
we just sit
3 months, versus 3 months to make a 45-second to 90-second animation really sucks. And I think there should be a way. There should be a way per genre to look at that. Yeah. I wholeheartedly believe that as well, because animators make some cool shit. Like you said, Bumbleworth is one we know for sure that has been working on stuff, and I have no idea. I haven't asked him at all where he's at, and it's none of my business. But he's been doing really well recently. So I don't know. I feel like it was too easy to be on YouTube to be part of the partnership program. The partnership program, what it used to give you, outside of monetization, the important things, in my opinion, are custom thumbnails. Cards or annotations back in the day were part of that. I'm trying to think what else was in. There's like the customized link, and a few other things that were like, to me, the custom thumbnail was probably the big thing, because that's how you stood out. And
because people used to find the moment in the video
and they would put it in there,
do a flash screen.
Yep.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yep.
God, that must have been hard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So somebody, well, once it's found out, people just share it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. I think from our position, again, I'm going to state we are not affected by this, but even if we were, I still would have the stance. I am always a fan of having the bar set higher for goals. And if this is the reason you're quitting YouTube, good, go away. We don't want you. Like, honestly, you're not helping the community. You're not a positive force in the community. You look like you're money hungry. If you saw this, whether you're affected or not, and you're like, you know what? I'm going to put my head down. I've seen many small creators that said, you know what? This is going to push me harder to hit that goal. And that's more power to you. It's going to take a while. Like I said, we're 3 years in, 1,200. We're no big channel by any stretch of the imagination.
Not even close.
But either way, we'd still be putting our head down, going to work, and heading forward. The other opportunities we've had because of this has been insane. We get press passes to Wizard World in 2 weeks. We had press passes to Indie PopCon for 2 years. We have interviewed freaking Kevin Conroy, Lauren Lester, Michael Rooker, bunch of other YouTubers. We had a panel in front of people of about a room of 80 to 100 people.
I actually want to chime in here because I think that's a really important point to bring up, is that this time, well, not this time, but last year, we had our panel on the struggles of a small YouTuber and how to overcome them. And a lot of that, obviously, at a base level, was talking about things like, you know,
resources,
how to get good audio, how to get good lighting, how to take advantage of things like pretend studios and things like that. But I think that at the time we weren't over 1,000 subscribers when we did that.
We were trying. Our goal was to hit 1,000 before that happened, and never did happen.
Never quite did. But I think that our principles on that still stand, in terms of, like, one thing that we've said since we started the channel, and it's always been our mantra, is when it stops being fun, we stop doing it. So it's never been about the money for us. It's never been about fame or anything stupid like that. Like, we were talking about how, like, and in here it actually says, like, a lot of people make like 6 figures or whatever. Like, I don't give a shit about that. Like, all I want to do is do this all the time. And it's not because
you want to make 6 figures.
Yeah, it's not because I want to be rich. I don't want to make PewDiePie money. I mean, it wouldn't hurt.
It'd be cool,
but that's not what I'm after.
It's not the goal.
I just want to be able to live, live. I have a wife and I have animals to feed, and, you know, I want to be able to live and do this as my sole.
I mean, we have conversations a lot of the time. Like, we talk about, I'm a big Kind of Funny fan, and they do what's called party mode. And you're like, if we could do this full time, we'd have so much more time to do things. And that's our biggest, and one of the things we talked about in that panel is finding time.
Yeah.
That's the hardest point. If you could do this full time, get paid, wonderful. There are also other ways to make money, and on YouTube, AdSense has always been the lowest. Even back in the day, I would say probably 30% of my money came from ads, 70% came from other sources, whether it's merch, which is a really good one, affiliate links, sponsorship deals, that kind of thing. So I'm hoping Patreon. Well, back in the day, Patreon wasn't that big. Now it is.
Yeah.
But the big money sources back in the day when I had my first channel it was sponsorship deals. And it was merch. Like, that was, I would say, probably 80% of my revenue.
And it's not an easy thing to live off of.
No, because it's inconsistent.
Yeah.
You could, especially when it was fun though, because you could make a new design and it would sell, and then you'd be like, oh, cool, and then it would just drop off because everybody already got their shirt. So I don't know. I am a big fan of YouTube. I've been on the platform itself since 2006, and I feel like, and I don't say that to be like I've got experience, but I've been over 12 years on this platform and seen it. I've gone through the Google acquisition. I've gone through algorithm change after algorithm change, fucking interview interface change. The rating system, the like system has all changed. The way they suggest videos has changed. Just everything has changed, I feel like, outside of it being a hosting place to go get videos from. And YouTube gets a lot of backlash for things, but I don't think this is one they deserve. I think this is them saying, hey, we need to protect the people that are here to make our platform better. And I think that's the big creators. As Tech Review said, the whole Logan Paul thing, I think they acted too slow on. I have an issue with that. But if YouTube does something right, in my opinion, I will stand behind them. Do you remember when Adpocalypse started, the VidMe craze?
Mm-hmm.
Remember, VidMe is now out of business.
I know.
They closed down.
Yeah.
And I was one of those people saying, VidMe is cool, but I'm going to stay here.
Yeah.
Because X, Y, and Z.
We only put videos on VidMe that YouTube disallowed us from putting up on YouTube.
Yeah, I went to go find the holiday special. I was like, oh, yeah, it's gone. Damn it. Even like when we talked about going to Twitch this year, there's a reason, and it's not because YouTube is bad for streaming. Twitch is just that much better. You find the platform that works for what you need to do. Video on demand works great on YouTube because of search, because of the built-in audience, because of that kind of stuff. Is there more competition? Yes. But I don't know. I'm a big fan of YouTube doing this. Again, it's one of those things where I think they needed to up it. I think they had a quality issue, and if this does wean out a lot of those channels that weren't up to snuff, I'm happy with that. And it sucks to say, but there's so many channels out there that don't put an effort in, and you can see when somebody puts an effort in. There are many people I can talk about, like, well, Tubin Monkey officially's gone full Twitch here, but back in the day, Tubin Monkey, Geek Etiquette. Like, these people have put in time to build their channel and to do what is right. Again, Test the Chad. Like, I can name a handful of people that I'm like, okay, you're doing it because you like doing it. And you're not doing it to get views. You're not doing it to get the money. You're not doing it for any other reason besides you like doing it and you want to entertain people.
I hate the sub-story stuff. Like,
yeah.
I don't like... I don't want to go full bore attack mode on here because honestly, like, part of me does feel bad for the smaller creators that have been. I mean, like Review Tech said, and like you said, we're not living off of however much we make.
Wish we were.
I don't even know like where it goes, honestly.
It's going to TubeBuddy for the longest time.
so like we're not even close to doing that. We do this because we love doing it. We love talking about what we talk about, and we like to engage with other people about topics that we enjoy. That's why we do it. There are a lot of smaller people that we've talked to through doing things like the panel. We met people like Claridactyl, Nuts and Adults, and things like that. And these guys, they want to get to 1,000 subscribers, or they want to get to 4,000 lifetime views, or whatever it is, or past 12 months, whatever. They want to get to those places, and
4,000 watch hours.
I would say don't let this discourage you at all. Like this should be
a motivating factor.
Change.
It should be a motivating factor.
Yeah,
for
it should be motivating, and I don't say that from a position of power. I don't say that because we don't have to worry about it. Because, like we said, if we did have to worry about it, we wouldn't be worried about it. We would just do it.
We'd be like,
just keep going.
I honestly think our reaction would be, that sucks.
Yeah.
Let's double down and hit this goal.
Because we don't care about the monetary aspect of it. It's always been about building a community, building engagement, and having a good time with it. That's always been the motivating factor behind what we do. So, like, to an extent, I do feel bad for some of the smaller creators that I know are gonna feel like this is a slight on them. But I think you need to realize it's not a slight on you. This is not YouTube saying fuck the little guy. This is YouTube saying, okay, there are so many like dud channels and, like they said, bad actors
or impersonators or whatever.
Or people that like jack content and upload it to their channel.
We've had a
making
couple
money off you, and there's so much of this tomfoolery going on. This is one of the only ways that they're able to manage that, at least to an extent. So if you fall in that category that unfortunately makes it look as though that's where you're at, you have to prove to them you're not. You have to say, okay, I know it looks like we're not a positive contributor, or that we're not uploading a consistent amount of times, or that we're, putting subpar content up or whatever. But no, check this out. We're not. And you keep going, and you keep pushing, and you keep making better videos, get your quality better.
Forget who you are.
Work, and you never forget where you came from.
I think it's interesting because the way I look at it, if we're looking at it from that perspective, is, and I think you'll agree on this statement, is we figured out who we were on the internet on October 31st when we switched to podcasts. We're like, that is who we are. All the stuff that happened before was good because we learned things as we went along.
Yeah.
But if we could start over, and if we started level 2 again tomorrow from scratch, we would do this format we have right now, and we know who we are, what we're doing. And I kind of think that leading up to that 1,000 subscriber base, it gives you a chance to play, to be like, okay, this is, because once you have a set base,
see what works and what doesn't.
Yeah, once you have a set base, it's harder to change things. Look at channels that have done something for so long, and then they got to switch to something else. It, as dumb as it is, I go to certain people for Destiny videos. If they started doing Monster Hunter videos, I don't care, because I don't care about Monster Hunter. There's channels that could do the switch and be successful.
No disrespect, Monster Hunter.
No, I just don't like the game. But I like it from the play aspect. Again, where I have the biggest kind of gripe with the new requirements is animation. I think animation, ever since the YouTube gaming boom has happened, has taken a backseat when it comes to YouTube availability. The other thing I do want to say, as YouTube has come out, because the The concern for some people, and it's a legitimate concern, was if you get the not allowed to monetize icon or the limited ads icon, that will affect your search. So YouTube has come out and said, if you're not able to monetize your channel, it'll still do the content system, like to make sure you're not doing something you're not supposed to. It will not affect you in search results, which I applaud them for saying that, because that is the way it should be. You should not, as a small creator, should not be left in the dark search results wise just because you didn't hit certain targets, because then you're definitely behind the 8 ball, versus if you can monetize and you do something that they don't deem good or to policy, it will hurt your search results, which I agree with, because they want to bring the good stuff to the top of it. So I do want to point that out, because there has been a lot of misinformation on that. I think it was the official YouTube creators Twitter account that came out and said, no, they were responding to somebody. I'm going to see if I can find the tweet, but they said that your search results doesn't change based on monetization or not. If you choose it, it will change though if you do monetize and it gets flagged. That will affect it. So yeah, I don't know. I feel bad for a lot of people. I also, as somebody who has been in YouTube, I don't feel bad for a lot of people, because I feel like this will wean out some of the, my opinion, content creators that I don't want to say don't need to be there, but aren't doing the effort to put in to get where they need to be. They just wanted to do it because they heard you can make a lot of money on it. And
yeah, if you're in this game for money, you're in the wrong game.
Yeah. Amen, brother.
Yeah.
I'm Hulk Hogan. Amen, brother. But yeah, I want to end with this, because I know I said I want you gone. But if you're a YouTube creator or any content creator, any platform, doesn't matter if it's YouTube, Twitch, I was going to say VidMe, but it's gone. Fucking Vimeo, wherever it may be.
Daily Motion.
Yes, that's a site I haven't heard in a while.
There you go.
If you're a content creator of any way, shape, or form, and you love what you do, you will push through those roadblocks. You will find a way to get to where you want to go. Will it be easy? No. Will it be
supposed to be?
No. Will it be rewarding when you get stuff and when you hit that point? Yeah. I mean, we have these moments every so often where I'm gonna call them the milestones of level 2, where we look back and we got stuff that we're like, we don't deserve any of this shit. PSVR, press passes, interviewing people because of those press passes. I'm sure there's other things I'm forgetting off the top of my head right there.
Donated to charity.
Yes. I mean, the Able Gamer stuff to me is really cool. And Craig actually reached out to me the other day to talk about 2018. So be on the lookout for stuff for 2018 for Able Gamers from Level 2. But these opportunities that have opened up, even as a smaller creator, have been amazing. And you've just got to find them. Finding the St. Louis developers. Like, I have made more friends doing YouTube online than anything else. Like, it's real weird, because I would never have.
I'm pretty much his only
gamer.
friend in real life.
That's not true.
That's a joke.
Yeah, it's not true.
It's
not true.
Man, I was only joking. Calm down.
But I've met some, like, again, Seth, I've met only online. Amy, I've only met online. I'm going to miss a lot of people. Jamie, Josh, Last Good Milk Pig, I'm not going to say his last name, Jay Statics, Nick, like, all these people are people that I have played with, or I've talked with, or I've watched their stuff, or they've watched our stuff, and we've interacted, and they're good people, and they are doing YouTube for the right reasons. And
you just need to keep doing it for the right reasons.
Yes. And I really, really do like this. I don't know. I don't want to. I just want to end on the note that if like Tom said, if you are under that threshold, it's not because you're not, quote unquote, worthy of it. You've got to prove yourself. In like any job, you've got to prove yourself that you deserve that promotion or that position or whatever it may be to get there. And let's be honest, if we didn't like I said, if we didn't monetize until we hit that, great. Again, we don't care about that as much.
You're not like the other guy said, you're not making a living if you're under that anyway.
Yeah.
We're not making a living, and we're barely over that.
Yeah.
People that have 10,000 subscribers are not making a living. People like the guy from PSVR Without Parole was posting the other day, and he said, you know, we get like 10,000 subs, and we still don't make anywhere near enough to live off of. Mm-hmm. So, you know, it's a case that only really...
It's a harsh reality.
Yeah, I mean, only like the Jacksepticeye's and the Markipliers and the PewDiePies and whatever are making like like the,
Shane
the
Dawson's.
millions, and then you have people that are like maybe with the 30,000-40,000 mark that are making enough to like make a living,
A decent
off
living,
of it.
yeah.
But everyone else under that limit, you might make some money here and there that you can put back into your channel or buy equipment or whatever it might be, which is really what you should be doing with any of this
You're
money.
investing
anyway.
back in. You're building a business.
Right. But I think that I don't know. I'm torn on it because, like I said, there's so many people I know that are affected by this. But
And I feel bad. I
do agree with you though, to the
I do feel
extent of that if you look at this and you go, oh well, fuck it, then I'm done. Then what were you doing to begin with? Because that's not, you don't get into this for that. You get into this for this. You get into this for the moments where you get to talk to an audience, where you get to share your viewpoint, where you get to create content.
In our case, laugh with the best friend.
Right. That's why you do it. You don't do it because you want to be fucking
Rich and famous.
yeah.
That's, yeah.
So I guess it's a mixed message because it's kind of like a part of us is, or part of me, I'm going to take ownership of this one. A part of me is going, don't stop. I see you, little creators. I see we're there with you. We've done panels with you. We see Clara Dack,
And
we see Colin. We see these people that are working so fucking hard to make their channels stick. And God bless you. And I hope that you get where you want to go to. But I believe that if you believe in yourself and you believe in your content and you keep creating your content and tweaking it and changing it and taking things
polishing
into
it.
account, you will get there. And when you get there, guess what? There's still not going to be any money. But you'll get there, and you'll get to the point where you feel good about yourself and you're getting your community going. But if you're there from the get-go, just to be like, I just want to make money, I just want to be famous, I just want to, whatever the fuck it might be, like, and then you hear this news and then you're just like, oh well, no, I'm out, then no, dude, like, that's, sorry, but that's.
And one of the things I really, really like, and I enjoy this with big channels, and they do it every so often. Jacksepticeye's done it in vlogs before. Tech Review in the video I showed you earlier said it. Everybody started in the same spot with the number 0 in that subscriber count, and the number 0 in that view count, and the number 0 in that watch time count. And Tech Review mentioned, he's like, I did this for free for 3 years. And it's not me saying, look, I did for free. It's, I paid my dues. And I think it's the same concept. Like, you've got to put the time in and put the effort in, and a lot of times the time and effort will knock you on your ass. If it wasn't for two of us, I think we would be in a whole different spot.
Yeah, to give you guys a ballpark kind of idea of how our general day-to-day goes, I had to go part-time in order to try and keep up with some of the stuff on the channel as it is. I have other things that I do as well, but a big reason why I went part-time was so I could dedicate more time to doing this, because I want this to succeed so bad. Keegan works full-time. He has to stream a lot and is now, especially this year, focusing a lot more on content.
Much better headspace than it was last year.
Exactly.
The last 6 months has been, and it's the honest thing, is it's been you. I mean, when it comes to content creation, outside of me showing up on Tuesdays to record and showing up on Sundays for live streams, you've done the bulk of the content, and that's the truth.
And it does take it out of you, because you got burnt out by doing the majority of the content when we started the channel. When we started the channel, I couldn't edit videos. I have no idea. I still can't edit videos. But like,
you do well enough that you fake it well enough.
Fake it till you make it, right? So when we started, Keegan was the only one of us that could edit, right? So this is partially why Jordan came on board, just because we wanted another editor and to share the workload a bit. And Keegan burnt himself to the ground editing all the videos that we had. And we had a far wider variety, I think, of things to edit at that time, because we were just kind of all over the place.
The podcasts aren't too hard. Well, I guess you've got the green screen stuff now.
I got to deal with your fucking Reptar on your shirt there. But other than that, they're not too bad. I mean, the TV situation is always the hardest part, because you're like, okay, do I put a video up there? Do I put a photo up there? Do I change it when they say certain things? But I say they, us. When but basically when we're done today, this is what's going to happen. When we're done recording today, and this is always our last podcast, because this is why we're the most relaxed usually when we're doing this one, because we know we get to breathe after. But when we're done, Keegan's going to go home and probably stream something. I am going to sit down and edit every one of these podcasts that we've done today.
I'll go make thumbnails for you too. You always text me to remember
thumbnails for me
because I have it ready to go. I just always forget to send them.
So I'm going to sit down and edit all these videos. I'm going to not talk to my wife for the entirety of the evening because I'm going to have headphones on and I'm going to be editing 3 podcasts that are an hour to an hour and a half long each. I'm going to not play with my pets. I'm going to probably eat dinner really fast. And by 11, 12 o'clock, I might be done with everything. And then I have to upload everything, and that takes forever. And once it's up on the site, I then have to do SEO for everything, and then I have to, that's search engine optimization, in case you didn't know. And then I have to like grab the thumbnails and put them up, and then I have to put in like all of the links and the description and all that kind of stuff. It's not an easy thing. Like this could, I mean, if whatever I don't finish tonight, that's what I have tomorrow off for. That's why I have an extra day now as a part-timer, so that I have Wednesday to basically do anything I didn't get to do today. And guess what? We don't just do podcasts anymore. We do gameplay, we do reviews, we do other things. So then I have to find time to play a video game that I may or may not want to play, to then, make it through that game, to record the footage, to chop it up, to then write a written review, which will take me an hour to write. And then I have to record it, and then I have to chop it up and edit that into a review. So something as simple as that like Hong Kong VR game video that I did last week, that's 4 games that I had to play for like maybe an hour each, because they were short games, but I played like an hour of them each, record all the gameplay, chop it all up, write a review for each individual game, bundle it together in a nice package, and then put it up there, and it got a decent amount of views.
And hope somebody watches it.
Yeah, it got like almost 200 views, and that's great, and that makes me happy, and it makes me happy that you enjoy it. But I did that. I put 4 to 5 to 6 hours into making one video that just hangs out on our channel. It doesn't really make us any money because I love doing it and because I want to share that content. So, you do have to put the time in. And I think there's a certain expectation for a lot of people where they feel like they just have to press play or record or whatever. Mm-hmm. Like they just put the game on. So our buddy Shadazzle, who you might remember, he did a vlog the other day about where he's been because he took the holidays off and has come back. He goes, the reason there's been no videos, it's way easier for me to stream for 3 hours than it is to make a 10-minute video. Yeah. And that's the truth. But we love doing both, and we challenge ourselves to do both.
I've told Tom, I'm going to hint it to you guys too, since you're listening to this. I've got something in the works that I think you are going to love. You won't tell me what it is. No, so. I want to surprise them. So I'm hoping you don't think it's shit, because that would suck. Be like, I got this.
Like, no, this is gash. What are you doing?
I don't think you will. But I'm excited because I'm now, again, transparency. The last 6 months of my life have probably been the hardest on me in a long time. Mentally.
How old are you?
26. Going to be 27 in March.
Long way to go, bud.
Yeah.
Long way to go.
I mean, a lot of things happened. High Vindy PopCon. That was fantastic. Low.
That was the start.
Yeah, of everything going down. Yeah.
That was like the ultimate high, and then you just went down from there.
And then Chester, and then my dad lost his job, and then my grandma died, and like it just kept compounding, and then financial things have come up. Like it's just these one thing after life just kept kicking me while I was down. And I've said it before, and I've said it both on and off the show, but I want to thank you publicly for all you've done in the last 6 months, both for the channel and for my mental sanity, because it's been rough, and I know it's been hard on you because I close myself up. I don't want to do anything, and I promise you, this is my promise to you and to you guys listening, 2018, there'll be a lot more content from me, whether it's online streams or if it's VODs on YouTube. There will be more and more you see from me as a behind the scenes creator. And I hope you enjoy it, because I really hope this project goes well. I'm excited about it because I think
I'm excited because
really
you're
cool.
excited. That's what it boils down to.
It's been a long time since I've been excited.
I like to see you happy, and I know you haven't been happy for the last 6 months.
I don't think I told you this. I told my mom this last week when I left from recording. I called my mom, as I do on the way home, because it's the best time to talk to her. I told her today is the first day in about 6 to 7 months I've been genuinely happy all day. And that's the truth. I've had moments where I'm like, this is cool, and I feel kind of normal, and then either something happens or my brain, I'm bipolar, like something will click, and I'm like, it sucks now. So I don't know. I'm excited for what we have coming up this year, 2018.
I think we're both gonna kick this year's ass. I think both of us are sick of 2017.
Yeah.
In
For
more
multiple
ways,
reasons.
In more ways than one.
My button's bigger than your button.
But I think that I think 2018 is the year that we are going to tackle the bull by the horns and just be like, okay, here's everything we got, and just put it all out there. And that is what it takes to be a YouTube creator, to bring it back to the thing. You have to, I mean, not all of you get to rely on a partner like I get to rely on him, he gets to rely on me. Like, not all of you get that. And when we talk about it in our panel, we were like, it's so much easier with more than one person.
Yeah. But it also can be complicated if you don't have
you don't get on.
We're on the same page.
Or,
like that's the thing is,
I mean, we challenge each other.
Yeah.
It's not like anyone has carte blanche. Like, if someone comes up with an idea and it sucks, we'll say it. If we try something for a little while and it doesn't work, we'll admit it. But I think that we're at a state where we're confident enough with each other and with our bluntness to each other.
We also say, fuck it. Let's try it.
There's no harm in trying things. But
Yeah.
you also have to recognize when they don't work.
Yes.
And I think we're good at that. We're good at, like, being like, okay, this isn't quite where we want it to be. Like, for when we started Indie, we were only getting, like, 8 views or whatever an episode, and I was like, oh man, is this going to be another TCSX? I'm just going to worry about it. And now that's got, the last episode had more views than Codename. So that's great. That means that is going in the right direction. So I think that so this has definitely gone on way longer than I anticipated. But I think that for a start, thank you for your kind words. Secondly, I'm really happy that you're in a happier place and a better place. And I'm obviously going to be here for you regardless. But I think that this channel means a lot to both of us. And every Tuesday when we get to sit down and do this, it's always a great time. Even on a bad day, it's always still like, you always feel proud of it when when it's wrapped up and you see it and you're like, okay, Thursday, like 11 o'clock, I'll be at work. I'll be looking at my thing and be like, ooh, in half an hour,
Just go
like, the video
live.
goes
For
up,
me,
and I'm
about to go to lunch or whatever, and you're like, oh, it's up.
Yeah, and then
So
you,
what's
like,
going
at
on?
the night time, you check and see, how many people watched it. Is there any comments? And when the comments start coming in, that's the best part,
That's the coolest
guys.
part.
That's the best part. The comments, not the views, not the subscribers. The comments. Talk to us. We love
I
it.
told you back in the day how cool that would be, and
Yeah.
I don't think you believed me until it started happening.
Well, yeah.
Because you didn't have any frame of reference for
Well,
like,
it's
what
true.
it was.
Yeah, I didn't. So that's why we do it, and that's why you should do it. And if you're not doing it for that reason, then GTFO.
Yep. Moving on. You can see the time. What's our timer at over there?
42 minutes.
Cool. I'm gonna make this middle section real quick here. So we're
Interesting moments in gaming history.
So normally we do great moments in gaming history, but I don't know if you are Nintendo, if you consider this a great moment. So
It's a great moment for the CDI. Because CDI got Nintendo games.
yeah. So back in the day, to give a little background, there's a company called Sony that made the compact disc, otherwise known as a CD. And there's a company named Nintendo that had the SNES at the time, known as the Super Nintendo Entertainment System. And they formed a partnership that was announced, I think it was either E3 or CES. I can't remember which one of the two it was announced at. And basically Sony was going to make they're going to partner to make the Nintendo PlayStation, which is a weird phrase to say. There's there's a few that exist, but prototypes that are out there with it.
Dude, I would kill for one of those.
There's one that is functioning that is people are aware of. And
That's right, guys.
Yeah.
PlayStation used to be a Nintendo.
Nintendo PlayStation. Because basically CDs can hold more data. That's why they did it. What happened? Don't know the actual story, but basically what happened is the next day on the stage, instead of announcing the Sony partnership, they announced they're partnering with Philips. As part of the agreement, Philips was allowed to make the CDI console, and Nintendo was going to give them IP. The Nintendo, I guess, CDI, Nintendo Philips system never came to fruition and never came to market, so the CDI was the only thing we saw. Out of that,
What did the I stand for?
internet.
Oh.
Interactive.
Okay.
Because do you remember like CD-ROM games back in the day?
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
what they remind me of.
Yeah.
So out of that, we got some of these gems here, and I'm going to name some of these gems. I'm going to a couple more detail, but we got Hotel Mario, Link, the faces of Evil and Zelda, the Wand of Gamelon,
Wow.
Mario Takes America,
It's like Beavis and Butthead Takes America.
Super Mario's Wacky Worlds,
Hello.
and Zelda's Adventure. Yeah, I was joking earlier. The reason I
didn't believe you when you said these games existed.
Tom, I was like, because I can't remember what we were talking about. You're like, I've never heard of that game. I was like, there's a reason. Nintendo has wiped it. They fucking Men in Blacked you and went, Shoop, don't remember. So, Nintendo is not proud of these games. Oh, it's coming up because we were talking about how on Indie, how Nintendo, which IP we'd want.
Yeah. So that's other companies using Nintendo
so, like,
IP.
Rabbids and Mario is a big deal because of this. This is where Nintendo stopped saying.
Last time they let someone else use their shit.
Same thing with, because you have to remember this time you had this, you had the Nintendo Super Mario Super Show, you had the Mario Super Brothers movie. Like,
I liked the Super Show.
Bad. I never actually watched
movie,
it.
But the
never
Super
watched
Show was
it.
fine.
So, Hotel Mario. I'm going to talk about that one first.
Sure.
First of all, Mario is a gruff Italian in it, so that's kind of interesting.
Hey, Luigi.
Second of all, lots of really shitty cutscenes because that was back when full motion video, which I guess still is technically a thing, but it's back when it was the thing.
It wasn't even like full motion video. It was just like this
shitty
half-assed animation
with bad voice acting,
with really bad voice acting, and it was like way worse than the cartoon.
Yes,
and like if you're gonna do an animation, at least have the guys from the fucking cartoon do it or something, because like they all look like slightly like mutated. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So Hotel Mario, the premise of the game is Mario or Peach gets kidnapped by Bowser, which
obviously
cool. We're good so far.
Right.
He then hides her in one of his 7 hotels that he owns, which
Bowser is a landlord.
Bowser owns. I've learned Bowser fucking owns everything.
Money.
Yeah, he's got spaceship. I wanted. Can we get a Bowser background story of how he made his money?
Yeah,
I'd love to see that.
Stealing princesses, probably.
And then the game, holding ransoms. Then the gameplay is you're Mario and you've got to go to the different hotels and close doors.
Yep.
While riding up and down an elevator. And that's all it is. And enemies will come out of the doors. The controls are a bit wonky. I've not played them myself because, as you saw, like the Zelda one was $186.
Oh yeah, it's a lot of money to get a hold of one of those things.
So, Angry Video Game Nerd, if you want to go super in depth, go check it. He has part 1 and 2 of CDI, and he goes over.
Plus, he's just good.
Yes, I like that man. Super Massacre. I was going to say Super Massive. Cinemassacre.
Mm-hmm.
I was thinking Supermassive and Cinemassacre together. So Super Massacre. Super Massacre is what they didn't call him by. AVGN. We both love him. It's funny because I loved him for a different reason. I loved him because his editing.
I used to watch AVGN right in the early days, and I remember being like, "Who the fuck is this guy?" Because I never really got the toilet humor stuff that much. It's like when he's talking about like a buffalo taking a shit on a game and stuff, that wasn't really my thing. I just really liked that he would play these games that I'd never heard of, and like
you would find the worst games in the world. He was the first person to play shitty games.
He was so good at like finding the shittiest parts of them too, and like just describing like how shitty they were. I just he's a legend, man. I love James Rolfe.
So the other one that I'm going to talk about that I have seen firsthand experience is Link, the faces of
Link to the Past.
The Faces of Evil in Zelda, the Wand of Gamelon.
God damn, that's a hard name.
Link, the Faces of Evil in Zelda, the Wand of Gamelon. This is like it should be 2 games.
I think it is 2 games.
Is that
isn't it?
Link the Face? I don't know. It's. Let's see.
It's got 1 Link. No, it is 2 games.
It is 2 games.
Thank God. But they look like they're
packaged together.
Yeah, it looks like they're a dual deal because they have the same artwork basically.
Yeah.
And look, one of them, Zelda has her own little like crest. Because Link has a crest and then Zelda has a crest, isn't that cool?
Yeah.
So anyway, they're gash. Continue.
So, Zelda, the Wand of Gamelon. Zelda 2. You're familiar?
Yeah.
It's very polarizing. It's very not well received by a lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
Picture
about it a little bit on Indie.
Picture a game that is worse than that, and then picture a game that is 7 times worse than what you're picturing in your head. That's what this is.
Yeah.
So again, it's got the shitty animation, it's got the piss poor gameplay. So the gameplay with here, and we were watching a little bit of AVGN because again, neither of us have played them. You didn't even know these games existed.
This was all news to me until half an hour ago. Yeah.
So this game is a 2D platformer. And to give an idea, to jump, you have to push up, but you also have to push right to move.
Shittiest way to jump on any old video game.
To pull up your inventory, you have to hold down and push a button.
That's also how you open a door.
Yes. So you'd have moments where you go through and it's just poor game design.
Yeah.
Real poor game design. I'm going to read the conception from Wikipedia here so we can get the full background of what happened here.
Go for it.
In 1989, Nintendo signed a deal with Sony to begin development of the CD-ROM-based system known as Nintendo PlayStation, or the SNES CD, to be an add-on to the Super Nintendo Entertainment System that would allow for FMV and larger games. However, Nintendo broke that agreement with Philips to make the add-on, which caused Sony to spin off into their own console called the PlayStation.
Worked out.
Wonder how that went. Yeah. Witnessing poor reception of the Sega Mega CD.
Yeah, the Mega CD sucked.
That's weird. I didn't even know that existed.
Yeah.
Nintendo scrapped the idea of making the add-on entirely. As part of the dissolving agreement with Philips, Nintendo gave them the license to use 5 of their characters, including Link, Princess Zelda, and Ganon, for games on the Philips console, the CDI, after the partnership dissolution.
So that was like Nintendo saying, look, this is really bad. We got to get out of this deal, but
spit on your
you
computer
can
screen.
use these things. Oh, they have the voice acting like people as well.
Yeah.
That's cool. We can shame them.
Contracting out to independent studios, Philips subsequently used the characters to create 3 games for the CDI, with Nintendo taking no part in the development except to give input on the look of the characters based on artwork from Nintendo's original 2 titles that in their
Red Hat, Blue Dungarees.
Their respective instruction booklets. Philips insisted the development studios utilize all aspects of the CDI's capabilities, including FMV, high-resolution graphics, and CD quality music. Because the system had not been designed as a dedicated video game console, there were several technical limitations, such as unresponsive controls, especially for the standard infrared controller, and the numerous problems in streaming audio, memory, disc access, and graphics. The first 2 games were showcased at 1993's
Basically, all the things that make a video game.
Yes.
It had problems
with their degree of animation. Surprise items with the degree of animation. The Faces of Evil and the Wand of Gamelon were the first 2 Nintendo licensed games released on this Philips CDI. They were giving a relatively low budget, shows, of approximately $600,000, and the development deadline set a little over a year, time which have to be split between the 2 games.
Yikes.
It was decided by Animation Magic and the Cambridge, Massachusetts-based team led by Dale DeSharon. I'd hate to be that guy now. That the 2 games would be developed in tandem and would share the same graphics engine to efficiently use the budget. The rest of the team, the development team, included 3 programmers, all previously of Spinnaker Software, never heard of them, 1 musician, Tony Trippi, and freelance writer Jonathan Merritt, who created the scripts and designs. Under DeSharon's direction, the game development progressed similarly to that of early directed titles. Below a Robot, a game with retro gamers John Schnezdiak has suggested. SZCZEPN. Yeah, that has suggested.
Yeah. That is a Polish name if I've ever seen one.
Many has served as frontrunner of sorts. Background designs were created by local Cambridge artists. IGN's Pierre Schneider claimed the decision to star Zelda in the Wand of Gamelon based on the fact... Claimed the decision to star was based on the fact that the CDI's library was directed at females. However, he felt that they failed at this due to Zelda playing the same role as Link. So,
wow.
You've got voice actors in here, you got animation, you got there's reception. Basically, it was not received well.
So there is a bad Zelda game.
Yeah.
2
Nintendo
or 3 actually. Yeah, 3 bad Zelda games, all on the CDI. If you are lucky enough ever to own one,
the Wand of Gamelon received a 75% and called it a reasonably good game for its puzzlers.
Wow.
Or puzzles and animation.
Who gave it
sequence.
that? Wired?
CDI Magazine.
Oh, of course. Yeah.
So.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah. So that was the thing that happened that that Nintendo doesn't want you to remember. IGN's Per Schneider ranked the 2 games among Nintendo's biggest failures, despite the games not being made by Nintendo. Electronic Gaming Monthly contributor Sean Baby ranked Zelda Wand of Gamelon the 6th worst game of all time, while Game Trailers rated it the 5th worst game of all time. The Wand of Gamelon appeared in a bracket poll of the greatest Legend of Zelda game, along with Zelda's Adventure. It lost in the first round to Legend of Zelda: A Link to the Past.
Shocking.
So
yeah. That's fascinating because, like I said, I had no idea that these games existed, and I've been a gamer since the Commodore 64, And
There's a reason you don't know they exist.
The CDI just passed over me like wind on a windy day.
Well, I don't think the CDI lasted that long.
No, I don't think it did either. But it was like one of those things where I do remember like, you know, the SNES and the birth of the PlayStation like from the era, but I do not recall the CD. I do remember the Sega CD, which you did not recall. Because the Sega CD is...
the CDI lasted 7 years.
Really?
From 1991
Shocking.
to 1998. Doesn't mean it sold, but it lasted 7 years.
But the Sega CD was the one that had the original Night Trap and everything.
The CDI was a commercial failure, losing Philips $1 billion. $1
billion?
1 billion with a B.
Jesus.
That's crazy.
There you go.
Yeah, bad idea.
Interesting moments.
Props to Philips for trying to do that, but they failed miserably.
Yeah.
And I would have been interested to see how it would have worked with either the Sony PlayStation or the Nintendo Philips thing if they had actually done the console, because then I think Nintendo would have been more in control over quality.
I think ultimately I'm happy that things went the way it did.
Because PlayStation now exists?
Because PlayStation exists, and because Nintendo righted their own ship, and now they have the Switch, and I think everything worked out for the best. But yeah, that is a weird stain in the history of video games that is fun to talk about.
It is probably, a lot of people think it's the worst Nintendo failure of all time, and that includes the Virtual Boy.
Oh, wow.
So
that is high praise. And the Power Glove.
Yeah. Or the Wii U. I mean, they've had a few missteps, but they've also been around a while.
And again, so have Sony. I mean, come on, PSP.
Let's be honest, the Wii U, in comparison, the Wii U failure, nowhere near.
I think the PSP Go is a worse failure than the CDI. I'm going to say that on record. And I had a PSP Go. So
see, I don't think
that was a shit show. Well, because they promised they were going to put the entire catalog of PSP games digitally so that you could play them on it, and they just didn't.
Yep.
So I'm just like, well, you just fucked everyone that bought this console. I paid like $260 for
that was stupid. You know the whole software before hardware thing?
Yeah.
You should wait for the software for the hardware, not hardware for the software.
I
had disposable income.
Not as versed in the history of that.
So moving on. You've got
my tales.
five albums that have changed your life.
I'm going music today because I know you like music and I like music and I have a good history with
you like music. Do you guys like music?
Everyone
I think you like music.
Actually, not everyone does. I remember talking to a guy once who said he didn't like music, and I'm like, what are
I like angry music.
Huh?
I like angry music.
You do.
I was playing music in the at our work when I was closing, and it was somebody came back and like, what the hell are you listening to? And it was like one of those radio stations on Google Music that was just yelling at me.
I was
I was
in my room at work, and I was playing the Humpty Dance by Digital Underground, and apparently the bass was so loud that the entirety of the rest of the store could hear it. And when I was told that fact over the walkie-talkie, I said, well, are you guys doing the hump?
And then you got fired.
It is your chance to do the hump. But no, so 5 albums that changed my life and a couple honorable mentions, because that's the thing that I do. And I say this not so that you listen to them, because you probably have listened to a lot of them, but just because I thought I was trying to think of something to talk about this week, and I started thinking about music and how it has had impacts on me in different ways during my life, and I almost feel like each one of these is a soundtrack to a portion of my life. Mm-hmm. So that's kind of why I'm choosing them.
The Black Parade to me is that.
Right. So
rumors they're getting back together, that would be insane.
So I'm doing it in order of when I heard them as opposed to how important they are. So I'm starting with like the first one that changed,
oldest one.
and the second one. Yeah, exactly. The old to new as opposed to good to bad or bad to good or whatever.
Or importance.
The first album that I listened to that changed my life was Appetite for Destruction from Guns N' Roses.
Pretty good album.
It's a pretty damn good album. It's a really solid album, actually, if you think about it.
We got fun games.
The reason why I choose this is because when I was growing up, I had no musical taste, as many children.
You just listened to what your parents did or whatever, like was on the TV.
Not even that. My parents were cooler than I was. My dad used to listen to like Bruce Springsteen and Pink Floyd and Led Zeppelin. My mom was terrible. She pop music. But yeah, I used to listen to whatever was on the radio, and that was my thing. I would sit there and I would tape. You guys had the top 40 over here, right? Or was it just like the top 10? Or
I mean, I'd assume is top 40.
So every Sunday
Canada
night,
had it.
Every Sunday night, the BBC Radio 1 would do the top 40, where they would just basically count down the top 40 songs of the week, but they would play some of them. Not all of them, some of them. And I would record it to cassette.
Because that's what you did.
Show my fucking age.
If you yelled into the thing, you could put your voice into it.
I did that a couple times too.
You made your own radio shows?
A couple times.
Yep.
But yeah, so I would record it and then listen to it, and that's how I would discover people that I like to listen to. And of course, like friends at school and stuff like that would say, oh, you should listen to blah. But most of it was just terrible music. So I was at I grew up in a very small town in England, and we used to have this market every week or so. And the market was held in the town center, and it was just like a bunch of think of it like a flea market. It was just a bunch of crap, right? But there was a dude there that would sell cassette tapes. And I went there.
Those who don't know, that's pre-CD.
Yes, this is little things with the spins.
They're analog.
And I went down there one week, and I decided I wanted to buy albums because I'd never done that before. So I bought 2 albums. I bought the greatest hits of Aerosmith, which your mom would be proud of me for.
The original one?
It was the one that had the red cover with a half an A, and then they did part 2, and it was the other half of the A.
Yep.
But yeah, the first
my mom
one.
loves Aerosmith.
And then Appetite for Destruction by Guns N' Roses. And I had a Walkman, Sony Walkman.
Like actually like Sony branded Walkman? Because those were, that was the thing to get.
You know me.
I had the knockoff Philips CD player.
I'm a classy dude. No, I never. Well, actually, that's a lie. I did have a CD thing, but I hated it because it skipped too much.
See, that's why I got the Philips, because it had anti-skip.
Yeah, that never worked.
It did until you shook it.
Yeah. So here's why it didn't work. It's because I used to listen to this while I was rollerblading, and this is what I would do.
Image of you you were the 90s in a nutshell.
I was. I would. So that I lived
Did you have bright colored
close
pants?
to a supermarket that on a Sunday, because in England everything is closed on Sunday. So on a Sunday there was no one there. They had this entire car park that was empty, except for like one loading truck that just used to hang out at the end of the car park. I would just do laps around this thing with my rollerblades, listening to my Walkman, playing Guns N' Roses, and like go like jumping off things.
Can we recreate that? So we're talking about making some other additional content. I'm gonna get you rollerblades, and we're gonna recreate this somewhere.
Dude, I could still rollerblade. I used to go backwards and everything. So
I used to be able to jump.
So that was my life when I was a kid. That was the first. Those 2 albums, so specifically Guns N' Roses was kind of my favorite of the 2. So so that album changed me because it was the first time I bought something that I was a little scared about, and I bought it mostly based off like artwork and stuff. Like I was just like, Guns N' Roses, that sounds cool, but I was a little scared by it. And then when I listened to the songs, as you know, Guns N' Roses songs will get in your fucking head, and they'll be like, I was like, damn, like this is actually really good. And then I would just listen to it on repeat.
I might listen to them on the way home now.
Yeah, right. So I love actually watching, like, if you watch the React channel, you see the kids when they listen to, like, old school music and stuff. They played him that album one time, and they're like, dude, this is incredible. And I was like, that's what I was like. Yeah. Except it was, like, the era when it came out instead of now. So that was awesome. That was the first album that changed my life, and I'd like everyone to keep a mental picture of me with rollerblades listening to that album on a Walkman. The second album...
It's a great mental picture.
And of all the albums that are in this list, this one was the biggest effect on me as a person. And it's almost, I don't want to say it's embarrassing to say it, but it is.
Ricky Martin's Livin' La Vida Loca.
No. It is seen as embarrassing now because of the genre of music that it is.
Disco?
And that is nu metal.
Oh.
And even though at the time, this album created nu metal, okay? There was no nu metal, and then there was this. And then everyone
there was nu metal.
And then everyone was like, what the fuck is that? We need a name for it because there's not like anything else that exists right now.
And it's new as an NU metal.
NU, yeah.
Not like NEW. Like, this is just new metal.
And then after that, like, then the genre was born, right?
Then we got Limp Bizkit.
This was the first. And this was Korn. It was a self-titled album. Korn, if you've never heard of Korn, Korn.
I know those guys.
You personally,
literally, like I know those guys.
Yeah. So I was so obsessed in Korn when I was younger because, okay, I listened to Guns N' Roses and Aerosmith. That was like hair metal.
They were definitely arena style.
Yeah, arena rock.
Like Guns N' Roses, not as much because it was a little bit heavier, but yeah, it was definitely that was the popular stuff to listen to.
Yeah,
it was not top
popular
40
version of
but
rock and roll,
yeah.
right? It wasn't metal, it was rock and roll.
To me, it's like Metallica, or like even nowadays, I think of like Matchbox 20 back in my day was like the popular rock, even though they're not that heavy.
Well, they're a bit more toned down, but yeah.
Well, I think
Metallica would be too toned up, I would say, because their first album was thrash metal.
Well, I'm thinking like Matchbox 20 is equivalent to like Aerosmith.
Right.
And then Guns N' Roses would be equivalent to when Avenged Sevenfold made it on to the fucking top 40 at some point. And you're like, well, how the hell did that happen?
So anyway, this album comes out by Korn, and it was unlike anything I'd ever heard in my life. And still to this day, if at that time, no one made that sound at all. They were the first band that I could think of that did this kind of drop D tuning that had these crazy lyrics.
I don't think I remember that album at all.
It was the one with the front covers, the girl on the swing with the shadow.
Let's be honest, Freak on a Leash is the only one I know.
Blind was the first song on the album.
I know that song.
And Blind is a cracking first song
this
to
is
have
creepy.
on your
Watch
album.
this. Doop, 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 doop. It just gets bigger every time.
So I heard Blind, and oh my God, like you go from this kind of really slow kind of like build up into this just unleashness of this drop D massive riffage, and then of course you have the build up at the end, and the build up part was always my favorite because that was kind of the letting your anger out part. That was the part where you were just kind of like you'd be rocking back and forth slowly, waiting for the thing to just explode. And that wasn't the only song on the album that had that, because you had, on the first album, I believe they had Clown, I think they had on there. They had, and this is not a slur, this is a real song, not title, Faggot was on there. They had just all these songs that had this build-up in them that just kind of made you want to fucking murder everyone around you. And so I was maybe 14, 15 when I got this album, and I'd never heard anything like it, and it changed my opinion on the world, and I don't know how. That's the weird part about it, was because it was almost like everything at that point was vanilla. Everything was vanilla. I had emotions. They were sometimes a little high, sometimes a little low. Korn tapped into something in my psyche that was like, it's okay to scream.
That's Hawthorne Heights for me.
Right?
That's like Hawthorne Heights was that album for me.
But it was just like, it's okay to be angry at the world. It's okay to feel like things are fucking bullshit. And I know that's like teenage angst talking, but at the same time, like for a young impressionable teenager, hearing that and hearing someone be like make music that sounded like it was made for you and your fucking viewpoint at that time was just was it for me.
Yeah.
And at that point onwards, I was a different human being. I was a different human being altogether. I went, and this sucks to say how this is how I went different, but I went from like straight A student to like not getting straight A's. And it wasn't because I suddenly became some like drug addled loser or whatever, but it was just like, I just suddenly started to see the world a little bit more for what it was, and that it wasn't all bubblegum and roses. You know what I mean?
Rainbows and Roses.
Guns N' Roses. So Korn was a huge effect on me, and I'm jealous of you because you know a couple of the guys. You've interviewed them, and like I told you this story, and I don't think I've told you guys this story, but I went into a hairdresser when I was younger with a picture of Head from Korn and said, "Give me this." Right? And they spent 5.5 hours.
I can't wait for you to meet Bertrand. He looks just like Head.
Does he?
Yeah,
that's awesome.
Our buddy Bertrand's in a band, and he looks just like Head Welch. Like he has a picture. So Head has a book that he made, and I'll show you the picture afterwards. But it's Bertrand holding the book because it's his face on it, and then it's his face.
Oh, that's cool.
It's almost identical.
So like those guys were like, I had like my whole room was plastered in Korn posters. I had
super awesome dudes, by the way. Like
I'm glad.
I don't know. I mean, Jonathan Davis, I'd never really interacted with outside of like saying hello.
Like a pretty legit guy.
But Fieldy and Head are the two I've interacted with, and they're legit dudes. They're like, yeah, we're just hanging out, doing our thing.
I got to see them live once. It was funny because me and my buddy had wanted to see them for years, and it was on a tour that like was a later album tour, but we just wanted to see him.
Yeah.
And he had been playing basketball like the day before in the blazing hot sun, which is rare for England, but the blazing hot sun, and topless, and had gotten massively sunburned.
Mm-hmm.
So that pit
Sucked.
Really fucked him up. It was great.
When I interviewed, last time I interviewed Head and Fieldy, I was actually one of the first people to interview him when he came back to Korn. We had tickets to the show, and I ended up not going because I'm not a huge Korn fan. Like, I know Freak on a Leash, and I know of Blind, but like that's not my music. And I ended up just going home after the interview. Didn't go to the show. Oh man! So if I'd known, I could have given you the tickets.
Yeah. All right. So album number 3. I'm trying to move along because this is a long podcast this week. Album number 3 was one that you may or may not. I think you know these guys. I'm not sure. It's a hip hop album called Lucy Ford, and it's by a group called Atmosphere.
Nope.
Atmosphere is two guys from Minneapolis and
Minnesota.
Yep. And the two guys are called Slug and Ant. I don't know why.
I think you've talked about them before.
Yeah. So Slug I actually have met before. I have a picture of him lifting me up in the air when I was like 14, like 17, 18, something like that. And so anyway, Atmosphere were the first hip-hop group that I heard that made me think that hip-hop was something other than gangster rap. Or like old school. It was like old school or gangster was like the only hip-hop I knew. I grew up on like Ice Cube and stuff like that.
I was going to say, it was NWA or it was Dr. Dre.
Right. Atmosphere was two white dudes from Minnesota. So when I listened to it, it's storytelling hip hop. It's like jazzy beats, and it's storytelling, and it's reality for someone like me. So it wasn't.
So it's like an Eminem type thing, because Eminem is very much story.
Like Eminem.
He's telling the story from his life was a bit fucked up, but he was telling his thing.
If Eminem had a pretty decent life, yes,
but that's what it is. It's that.
But Eminem was kind of like still kind of on the gangster side of things because he grew up in 8 Mile.
Yeah,
but like these guys were just like, it was stories about love and loss and music, and it wasn't about killing anyone or murdering anyone. There was a lot of metaphor dug in there. There was stories about meeting a girl with like devil tattoos and angel tattoos, and how they would crawl off her hand, and there was like these kind of beautiful imagery that was painted by the lyricism of Slug in this album. It was actually 2 EPs that they stuck together to make an album, but there was Lucy Ford EP 1 and 2, but they made a whole album. And because the album they had before that was just typical hip hop, but this album was like, wow, like I'd never heard anything like it. And it's still to this day, when everyone ever asks me like what would be like a desert island disc for you that you could listen to the whole album back to front, perfect album. That's always on the list because it is a perfect album. There's not one skippable song on that album for me. So if you are ever like, you ever look at hip hop as a genre and you think, oh, it's all like, you know, shit or whatever it is, I encourage you to try and find the Lucy Ford LP by Atmosphere, because Atmosphere nowadays, they're like, they work on like, they go a Warped Tour and shit like that. They work with Epitaph Records for a while. They don't sound anything like what they used to. But when they first came out with that album, unbelievable. So Atmosphere, Lucy Ford LP number 3.
All I can think of is Drops of Jupiter in my head. I didn't see Atmosphere.
Number 4. And this one to me is probably the most influential of the albums, because again, it was kind of like, I'd never heard anything like it. I still to this day listen to it regularly, and that is 9 Inch Nails' The Fragile. Now,
which album was that? I don't know. I'm not a 9 Inch Nails.
It was a double disc album. It came after the Downward Spiral. Well, they had the Downward Spiral, then they had Further Down the Spiral, then they had The Fragile. So The Fragile is a double disc album. So already you're getting your money's worth, right? And it had just the most beautiful atmosphere throughout the entire record. You have brutality and like pure riffage. You have just beautiful piano medleys with like soundscapes. This is an album that Trent Reznor took so long to make and made it so bizarrely. Like there's when I read an interview about him making this album, and at one point he said like he took like 2 strings off a bass guitar, put it against a toaster, and then like recorded the sound that it made off the toaster. And he loved that noise so much that he kept it and then used it in the album. Like this is how crazy he was getting during the sound manipulation portion of creating this record. So so I picked this album up on release day. My friend actually bought it for me because he knew that like what a crazy 9 Inch Nails fan I was at the time. 9 Inch Nails is how I met my wife, which is a whole other podcast you can listen to. But The Fragile was like just this kind of beautiful epitome of 9 Inch Nails to me, because it was the brutality and the beautifulness of it. If you listen to Trent Reznor now, he's mostly doing like soundtracks for like documentaries and stuff with Atticus Ross, and you know, you listen to that stuff, that stuff creeps into the Fragile. That's like the beginning of him having a softer side, as opposed to the Downward Spiral, which is just all like, fuck everything, I hate everyone, let's take drugs and kill God. Like, this is, the Fragile is a lot more like musical, I guess is the best way to put it. So that record was just astounding to me, and still to this day, like, on constant rotation. I will listen to this record anytime, any place. They even re-released it with like demo versions of stuff that he never had done before, and remastered versions really recently, actually, as a special vinyl, which I managed to get a hold of as well. But just such a wonderful, wonderful record. And lastly, and this is a weird one, it's a band that hardly anyone has ever heard of. I heard them randomly from watching a low-budget movie that was called The Battery. And I recommend that you watch The Battery because it is a fantastic movie. It's about this zombie apocalypse.
As to say, as in like a charging battery or like hitting things battery?
I honestly don't know. Which version of it is. But the movie is basically about these two guys that are surviving in a post-zombie apocalypse. But it's done from like, it's a very indie movie, right? So it's like, it's not like big budget, crazy zombies everywhere. But the majority of the soundtrack is fucking stellar. Like, the whole soundtrack is great, but one band that appeared multiple times, and the reason why I watched this movie was because I heard this song in the trailer. I was like, damn, that's a good song. And then sometimes when you hear a good song in a trailer, you're like, oh, that instantly makes you want to watch the movie. So the band is called Rock Plaza Central. And I actually talked to the guy Chris Eaton, I think is his name. He's like the lead singer for Rock Plaza Central. They've done one gig in the last like 5 years or something, which they live streamed. And I was so excited. I was watching it on the way home from work. It was on Facebook, and me and my wife were watching because she loves them too. But Rock Plaza Central is just like a weird, like, folksy, I want to say soft rock, but like folksy rock, like almost like a bluegrassy type band. And so they have like lots of interesting instrumentation in there. But they made an album called Are We Not Horses? And the album is a concept album that is so widely critically acclaimed that they study this album in universities for concept albums. The concept is about android horses that think that they're real horses. I know that sounds fucking stupid, okay, but stick with me.
So it's concept.
It's concept, right? It's a crazy concept, but it's a concept. So the album called Are We Not Horses? And there's so many amazing songs on this album, but all of them tie into this kind of common theme of these horses. They bring up horses an awful lot in this album, let's just say that. But the album is beautifully crafted. It does tell a story. Every song on there has its place, and it's quite unlike anything I had ever heard before in terms of how it sounds. Because even though I've heard bluegrass before, and I've heard, people utilizing interesting instrumentation before, it was one of the first albums that I listened to that was outside of the realms of things that are standard genres like metal and hip-hop and stuff like that I was like, wow, this like really sings to me for some reason. And I would listen to it non-stop over and over again. They have other albums and I like those albums, but this album is just like stellar. Yeah. They actually just recently made a stage play about this thing called Are We Not Horses? I love this album so much. This stage play happened 2 nights only in Canada, and I ordered a t-shirt from the theater play just to have a t-shirt that said Are We Not Horses on it. And it came in the mail the other day. So I was super pumped about it because I'll never have a shirt that says that because the band doesn't really do much anymore. So Rock Plaza Central, Are We Not Horses, is a interesting listen at very least. So if you can find that record, or if you have like Spotify or Apple Music or whatever, I highly recommend that you seek it out and just give it a little listen. If you don't like it by the end of the first song, you're not gonna like it. But if you're kind of digging it as you're listening to it, stick with it, and it might just become your favorite too. So those are 5. The honorable mentions, I'm going to go through these really fast. Gunship by Gunship. For a start, Gunship is an awesome name for a band. They are a synthwave band. They make 80s sounding music, but they made it in 2015. They are the perfect imitation of 80s like neo-noir.
It's kind of like Steel Panther's a perfect 80s metal parody type
but
thing.
they're the perfect imitation of like the poppier side of the 80s. Not like super cheesy or anything, but just like the synthesizer use and the vocals and that kind of, and the hooks and things like that. perfect Outrun album. If you like that vibe of the 80s synth wave stuff, Gunship by Gunship is stellar. And they came off the back of, God, I wish I could remember the name of the actual band, because they were a normal band, and then they just went and did this side project called Gunship. But it was a band that Buster, the guy who used to be in Busted, who were like a pop group in England, had.
Been to the year 3000.
God damn, how do you know that?
Jonas Brothers.
So
how much has changed?
the guy from Busted formed another band that were like a normal band. They were all right. And then that band made Gunship. Anyways.
Doing fine.
Two more extra mentions. At the Drive-In, Relationship of Command. Yep. At the Drive-In, post-hardcore band. Again, it was one of those things where when I first heard them, I was like, what the shit is this? Like, it's one of those things that just, you hear a record, it smacks you in the face and says, you've never heard anything like me before, have you? And that's exactly what I got with At the Drive-In. I heard Cosmonaut, which is one of the songs on the album, track number 10. And basically, Cosmonaut was just like someone just like kicked me in the face and said, this is going to be your new favorite style of music for the next 6 years. And it was. And At the Drive-In, their newest album, actually, because they broke up, they got back together, they released an album this year, minus one of their members, and it unfortunately showed that they were missing one of their members. It was a decent album, but it wasn't great. Yeah. But Relationship of Command was, like, hands down, one of the best fully realized post-hardcore albums ever. And last but not least, GlassJaw, Everything You Ever Wanted to Know About Silence is the name. I put in here on my notes EYEWTKAS, because that's how they usually put it up, because there's a really long name for an album, GlassJaw. But GlassJaw released an album this year that was stellar. They had another album called Worship and Tribute that was stellar. But their first album was almost hit me the same way Korn did, because it was kind of this raw bowl of emotion. The singer is amazing, Daryl Palumbo. Amazing singer, has Crohn's disease, has to cancel a lot of gigs because of it. Mm-hmm. So, you know, half the time if you buy tickets, you're lucky to actually get to see him. But this album is basically like one gigantic fuck you to his ex-girlfriend. And the whole thing is that. It's just like the most brutal, masochistic, like horrible. Like, if you just broke up with someone, listen to this album and you'll feel way better about it. But yeah, GlassJaw, Everything You Ever Wanted to Know About Silence was just, again, it was one of those things where, like, I'd never heard anything like it musically before. I'd never had the emotions of listening to it before. Perfect anger levels, perfect pitch and melody, and that was another one. So that's my honorable mention list, the last three there. But the top five are the ones that actually affected my life in a big, major way. The last three were just albums that I think are perfect. And that is my top five plus honorable mentions, albums that changed my life.
Cool.
So there you go.
I might do that next week for mine.
Be fun, right?
I would be interested in compare and contrast.
Yeah.
Because mine are definitely way newer and way different.
Romance in there somewhere.
Oh. Yeah.
But
I could just, let's be honest.
Just five.
My top five are My Chemical Romance albums.
So I'd love to know, actually. So we talked about a lot today. It's been a long podcast. Yeah. Thank you for bearing with us. We're only an hour 20, but still. What do you guys think about the YouTube thing? What do you think about our opinions on the YouTube thing? Feel free to be as brutally honest as you want to.
You're allowed to yell at me if you want to.
We're not going to take offense. Yeah, you're allowed your own opinions. We're allowed.
Just be civil about it. That's all I'm going to ask. If you yell at us to have a good defense, don't call us names. Don't be toxic.
What do you think about Nintendo CDI games?
Did you know they existed?
Have you ever played them? Did you know they existed? Yeah. And lastly, what are some records that changed your life and why, more importantly? Because the record and the changing life part is one thing. Why is the important part? Mm-hmm. Like, why did that record change your life? And if you guys put that stuff in, then maybe next week Keegan will have 5 for you that changed his life. And I'll do like movies or something instead, because I'm running out of ideas. So that's our podcast for this week.
Do you remember what episode it is?
53? 4? 4, sorry.
Same as Codename plus 30.
Yeah, I should remember.
Codename plus 30.
So episode 54 of the official Level 2 podcast. Man, we're getting up there with these guys, right? Mm-hmm. We're almost
Well, technically, they've been going longer if you count like
That's
couch
true.
conversations.
I don't
and all
count
that.
them. I don't count the original ones.
No, I count. This is the.
'cause if
That's
you
why
go
this
to-
is the official.
Yeah, if you go to the actual like podcast apps, then it shows it's like episode 167 or
Yeah.
something, just because we mash them all together and we've had like TCSX and other stuff that were mixed in there. Also, sometimes I'll put up like panels and things like that as an episode because I think those are fun to do as well. But thank you so much for listening. As always, we love you guys so much. We appreciate you. If you have any thoughts on anything that you want to share with us, please do, because the talking to you part is our favorite part. Anything you want to end with?
Nope.
No. All right. Thanks a lot for watching, guys, and as always,
Welcome to the second level. Bye.
Ain't no game, but they saying welcome to the second level.